MITHRILHAWKS are a secret organization of adventurers and agents whose principal aim is to prevent an alien invasion by the race of beings known as the Cthulhs, a humanoid cephalopod race of psionic squid-like conquerors who enslave worlds. The MITHRILHAWKS were formed by Xavier Waverider to prevent this ongoing threat and help keep the civilizations of Earthall in balance through the 5 ages. Our intrepid adventurers are Sundew Thunderglade, a third-aged Fey-elf druid sent forward in time to the 4th age of Earthall to determine the best place for his tribe to store the Two-Eye Stone, a relic of unimaginable power, used to destroy one of the moons in the apocalyptic battle between dragons and giants at the end of the Second Age. He is horned, green-skinned with bioluminescent markings, and can transform into a giant teleporting tiger-like being of immense strength and agility. Played by Kurt. Lachlan Winshear, a half-elf rogue artificer wizard mercenary from the 4th age of Earthall, who was orphaned and taken in and trained by the MITHRILHAWKS. He relishes in unique magic items, creating them and running a small mercenary band that supports the MITHRILHAWKS intelligence network. He serves as the guide to this unlikely and very secretive trio. Played by Redfoot. And John Loyal Chambers, a Special Forces operative from the very human 5th Age of Earthall, who operates in a special access program called the Jumpgate Project, run by General Hawk. He was sent back in time to the 4th Age to determine the whereabouts of the Two-Eye Stone and report back so the Jumpgate Project could locate it and use it to defeat the invading cephalopods of the Cthulhu race. He has a religious experience during this time travel jump and becomes a paladin for Columbia Mithrael, the female elven deity of justice and healing, played by Tennant. Each of our adventurers are guided by their age's version of Xavier Waverider, and each have their own mission. Will they work together to accomplish their specific missions, or will they face something even more daunting and challenging, discovering untold secrets that they had never suspected and challenging them to their very cores? Find out in the MITHRILHAWKS Search for the Two-Eye Stone. In this episode, our intrepid adventurers return back to the future to defend Guangzhou from a neighboring protectorate whose leader is not as he seems. They meet up with an old friend and ride into battle. Greetings, adventurers and true believers. Welcome back to the MITHRILHAWKS Search for the Two-Eye Stone. In this episode, our adventurers return back to Seir in the early ages of the Empire, and are setting up Lachlan Winshear's Spices and Wines, or Wines and Spices. They just arrived at the future location of the Waverider Inn, which is actually a temple at this time, much like it's almost like a recreation of the gates, right? But it's a non-magical version, or at least it's not built by the ancient builders. It looks like it was built by a human, and as an approximation to the gates, right? But it's in the early days of Seir's dawning. Mercantilism and business and sailing has happened. There's a good government there, and they have landed, or actually the Waverider is floating invisibly above this temple. Lachlan went down to go do some business with Zanzibar Waverider, who looks like that, if you can see it on the screen. He's quite a dapper fellow. He's got white slicked back hair, a pointy goatee, and a monocle. He has like a black overcoat and white and red and blue, a dark blue overcoat, I should say, with mithril lining. Quite a dapper fellow. And he's standing there, and Lachlan just arrived, basically. And what we're going to do here is Lachlan, essentially what happens is he's like, we have to set up Lachlan Wines and Spices, right?
Oh, sorry, time out.
Or Winshear Wines and Spices. Yeah, you just landed in the temple, and there's 2 men there. It's nighttime, and it's Zanzibar Waverider and an old, like,
like looks like a druid or somebody who's taking care of the lands. And if you look at the map, this is where you are in this western lands. You've traveled from Guancho, which was over here, right, on the Wave Rider, and you guys you battled some wyverns. You saw the Mithril elves, and then you've come here to the city. And so, essentially, what I wanted to do. Oh yeah, and if you remember, in the last episode, you defeated the wyverns. And when you defeated the wyverns, you took a jaunt over to their cave. You located it well, did some tracking, all of that, and the items that you found were. I'm going to scroll back here. And you found a saddle of the Cavalier on the body of a dead griffin, and I'm assuming Loyal would have taken that since he is like the knight, right, riding. 3 healing potions that do 20 hit points each. A potion of lightning resistance that goes to whomever you like. A second level spell scroll. Lachlan, did you pick a spell that you wanted?
Yeah, I'm actually doing that right now.
Okay.
And I'm going to make it so I'm just writing it into my spell book instead.
Yeah, yep. And then you also got a Ring of Protection, so your AC goes to 16, if you could fix that in your character sheet. And then Sundu, you got the Iron Bands of Bolaro. If you remember in Doctor Strange, that thing that he threw on Cassius, that locked up Cassius when he was being attacked when he first got to the New York Sanctum. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember that. It's like a magic handcuff, basically? Is that...
Yeah, basically, it's like a ball of like chain, right? And you throw it at somebody and it locks them up, locks their mouth up, locks their hands back up, and puts them on their knees, basically like that. Right?
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that works up onto a large creature as well.
Awesome.
And then you also got 2,000 gold and 12 1,000 gold piece diamonds. And we rolled all that efficiently and officially, right?
And then, so if I remember correctly, like me and Sundu are still on the boat. Lachlan's the only one that's gone down at this time, correct?
Correct. It was decided that Sundu looked a little bit strange for this realm because they weren't ready for it yet. And basically, we're just going to do a quick montage. If there's anything you guys like really want to do in town, we can take this as an opportunity. Lachlan, basically what happens is Zanzibar says this just, he looks at you and he's like, basically what he's here to do is kind of like prep you to being a somebody, like that other people will respect, and like he sort of takes the disrespect that you have for people in the sense that like, you know, like you don't just offer your immediate respect to the Sky Elves, right? Last episode, you actually tried to knock them down when they had Loyal by the neck, right? And he's basically like in the short hour and a half that you have with him, he's basically saying he takes your cloak and he takes your jacket, I'm sorry, and your pants. He has you dress up in some really fancy clothes, much like his own. And he says, we're going to go sign all this paperwork. You're going to sign some contracts. We're going to have a quick portrait of you done, and then you'll be on your way, and business will be taken care of in your stead. He kind of like is a little snooty. Is there anything you want to discuss with him in particular?
Yeah, I guess basically beyond the fact that Lachlan is probably a major smartass to him because the snootiness would set Lachlan off. Would ask him about, like how, like in each age will I go about collecting money? Like how will I go about throughout each age, like helping this business to thrive?
Okay, so here's what he explains. He says, I was alerted to our business dealings by my great descendant, Xavier Wave Rider, and he said that I'm to go into partnership with you on Windshear wine and spices. And he says, I find it distasteful of doing business with a commoner, but evidently you are very important to the unfolding of the MITHRILHAWKS and our service to this world. And he says, so to that end, I must prepare you for what you are to expect. And he says, evidently the woman that you have chosen to do business with will help run that, and so will her children, and they will do so for a great period of time, according to Xavier. You have nothing to worry about. None of us will cheat you or steal from you. we're going to have a portrait done, and there will be a portrait of every founder and CEO of the company, essentially, including myself, and that there will be orders in a sealed envelope for all of the future CEOs. That it's called the X envelope, and whenever you show up, have them read that and look at the evidence in there, and you'll be treated like the founder that you are, no matter if it's 100 years from now or 300 years from now or 1,000 years from now, provided the business lasts that long.
All right.
Does that answer your question?
Sounds good.
All right. And he says, we'll take it from here, and you'll be set for throughout your adventures, essentially throughout your missions. If ever you and he explains that in the clause is if ever you stray from the MITHRILHAWKS or become a liability, you'll be removed, and that so long as that you are continuing, to work towards the betterment and safety of the planet and the spheres, then you will be, afforded the rights and responsibilities of the corporation.
To that end, let me show you something that I've been working on. And I pull out my journal and I show him like a picture that I've been drawing of this like 3-story building that's basically like a magic item shop, in which one floor has like a blacksmith and also an enchanting room, and another floor, like there are different floors, like weaponry, magical items, and things like that I would like to have created. And I'd like to discuss a good place to put that shop.
He says, this is actually quite interesting and right up my alley. I've been wanting to do something similar. And he says, would you mind? And he says, can I have the diagrams? And, in your stead, I'll make it so. And hopefully, whenever you return, it'll be up and running.
Sounds good.
And I assume that you'll be sending supplies and equipment here that we can use to help make those things, rare and beautiful items.
Of course.
And he says, excellent. And then you sit down for the portrait. Loyal, is there anything you want to do in town or on the boat? Sundu, same with you?
So what this saddle that I have, what's the particulars of it?
Okay, great. So it's basically like a leather belt, right? But it's just like a leather belt, and on the leather belt is a belt buckle sized little like seat, right? So you can wear it on yourself until you deploy it, and when you throw it around a creature, it'll automatically go and fit the size of it. So if you throw it on a horse, it'll make a horse saddle. If you throw it on a dragon, it'll make a dragon saddle, right?
Okay, cool. So I guess kind of what I want to find out, and if through whether it be talking to people on the ship or maybe making a journey down to the city, I kind of like to find something to bring along with us that I could use it on versus trying to capture something out in the wild every time we're going somewhere. And I don't necessarily know how that would work, especially with me not having any animal handling skills or anything like that. But it'd be totally cool to have something that I could ride. Okay,
so two things. The only thing you're going to find in Seer at this time, in this age, are horses. No griffins or anything. It's a rare thing. But I will, and you're really not going to bring a horse on this leg of the adventure. But I will say that Sundu turns into a big tiger, and I will say that there are some really great opportunities coming to ride some really fantastic beasts.
Okay, and that being said, that I'd like to have a conversation. I approached Sundu and.
So, do you mind if I mount you, bro?
Exactly. Sundu, this is kind of a weird question, but do you have qualms with me riding upon your back when you are in beast form?
I've done this many times. Whenever the tactics of the battle calls for a rider or 2 or 3, I'm happy to take on a rider if needed.
So you missed the episode.
Wonderful.
So Loyal, you missed the episode where you met Dazoo in his lair that was once Sundu's people's summer home, essentially like an underground cavern system that was flooded, and there was a huge water naga there.
Was anyone riding on my back in that episode? I don't remember.
Oh no, but that was the episode that Loyal and Lachlan rode on your back through the from the gate down. It took like a couple days.
I forgot about that.
So
I have ridden on his back before then. Okay.
Correct.
So I must warn you, Loyal, that my form is it's a limited talent that sometimes can disappear at an inopportune moment. So you must be careful. You might fall to the ground, or you might transport in a sudden flash to another location.
Well, technically, you would still have a saddle on you as elven form, and he would be. And so the other thing about this saddle is, so what we're talking about, Loyal, is the mechanics of Sundu's form. Like, the longer he stays in it, the harder it is for him to maintain it. In the fourth age, in the third age, a different story. But and so the saddle also prevents you from being knocked off of it. Like, once you're in the saddle, like, the thing could be upside down. You don't have to make any checks to stay on or anything like that. It's like a permanent saddle, like you're like magically attached. Okay.
So essentially, when he changes back over, I need to unbuckle it, or I'm still bound.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, what would a human saddle even look like? You're on my shoulders or something?
It's like one of those baby Bjorns. He's like on your back.
We'll make it work.
Yeah. Or it's like
backpack with oil in it.
Yeah, or it's like Chewbacca would see 3PO in the back, you know. So
we'll just like develop a special attack move where we each hold out a sword in each hand and just like spin. The windmill of death.
Yeah. All right, Sundu, what about you? Anything you want to do while you're on the ship?
You know, I think Sundu is, if he's not interviewing the high elf about, you know, sort of the mission,
right.
He's kind of sulking a little bit because he's really feeling like the gravity of the mission, like focused on the two-eye stone.
Yeah.
And really feeling a little bit like, oh shit, like we kind of messed up. You know, I thought that the placement was going to be a good placement, but moving into the fourth age, it wasn't safe. There was some treachery with us, and so Sundu's a little bit shaken from that, and so he's like, you know, it already doesn't look good, and I'm hoping that whatever we've changed, whatever battles we've had, and the changes we've put in place can keep it secure where it's at. But if not, maybe we need to look at finding a new location for it before the end of the age. You know, do we just leave it with Shintoji? Or, you know, where does it go from here?
Right. So you're kind of having this discussion with him. Some of the things he talks about is he says, you know, we haven't changed the timeline, it seems. You know, you guys are on your timeline, which is, you know, the world's cutting edge, essentially, of saving the planet and making sure that it stays safe. You know, so who's to say that the things that you've done haven't been the precise things that needed to be done, and that, you know, from what you guys have shared about how you have, you know, nanobites of the two-eye stone in you, you know, it's almost as if you're part of the story, and that what you're doing is actually what's meant to happen, and that maybe you coming forward in time, looking to how you've placed it and being involved in protecting it, has been what was necessary all along. You know, because he says the kingdoms rise and kingdoms fall, and bad people come to power and then they dissipate, but the two-eye stone needs to be protected, you know, throughout the ages, and that seems to be part of the MITHRILHAWKS journey, is what he says. And he says,
so kind of regardless of where you had placed it, this defense would have been necessary.
Almost, yeah.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it.
Yep, and he says that there's an ancient story of an offshoot of his people, the Mithril Sky Elves, who were kidnapped by the Cthuls, and that they were enslaved for many, many hundreds, if not thousands of years, and they degenerated into lesser versions of even elves that you see on the fourth age, if you can imagine that. And that they were rescued by a couple other MITHRILHAWKS at the end of the third age, the end of your age, where you come from. And he said, but those MITHRILHAWKS came from the fourth age. And he says that, did we mess up with the timelines there? Or was that part of the actual protection that the planet needs? He says, I have a feeling those captured Mithril Sky Elves will come back in a big way to help. And so back to Lachlan. So you get your portrait taken, and then he gives you back your clothes, and he says, I've upgraded your accoutrement, and he says you've got pouches here and here, and like on your sides here, and like what do you call it, on your cargo pockets, right? And he said we've installed in this short amount of time 4 bags of holding, 1 in each, and then on your back pouch here, like on the back of your belt, we've put a pouch that, you know, will grant you you know, mundane items that you may need: tools, hammers, chisels, rope, you know, things like that, useful items.
Thank you.
And he says, "Go ahead, Lloyd."
Go for it. Sorry.
No,
I was once I hear about this this portrait of his, I kind of rag on him a little bit about it, but I'm also very curious. I'm like, so have you stopped aging since they created this portrait of you?
No, he's going to age, but what's going to happen is if you guys come back 300, 400 years later, you know, they're going to have like a castle or building, and it's going to have all the portraits of the CEOs, and his is going to be the first, and he has to go, like, say, you know, go look up the letter that was left for you, and it's gonna validate all of his stories. Oh, and he makes you get a tattoo as well. Is there a particular place you'd like to? He's either saying here or on your neck, so that it's easy to show them when you arrive.
You hate authority. Think about that, and every time you have to show authority, this tattoo.
Well,
prime opportunity here.
Well, what's really interesting is because he hates authority, but he's being thrust into an authority role. Right?
I think probably right here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and it would be a mix between a Western rune for wind and a Eastern Asian one for like fierceness, right? Because that's what wind shear means.
Yeah, that works.
So it'll work in both kingdoms. Okay.
All right. So when I get back on the boat and Loyal starts to rag on me about that, I say, well, you know, I tried to do it nude, but they weren't having that. And when you ask me about the aging thing, I'm going to say, it doesn't matter what age I am. I'm always going to be this pretty.
Yeah, there you go.
Without a doubt, Lachlan, without a doubt. I'm sure they were only embarrassed by the size of your manhood.
Did
They needed its whole own painting.
I forgot. Did you guys, either of you, get on with anybody in the Guancho? Did you guys rolled terrible on those charisma checks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool, because we're going to go a couple hundred years forward in time now. So when you guys get on the boat, Tristan says, he's like, and if you remember, Tristan is the blue-skinned son, half-elven, half-sea-elven son of Xavier, and he's like, right, now, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go to the gate by the MITHRILHAWKS school. We got to drop you guys off. You're going to go back to Guancho a couple hundred years from now. We've got something we've got to take care of. You know, and he says, remember that cube? We've got to get it to somebody. We've got special orders to go and to rescue some people in the Third Age, and we've got some operatives on it. We'll return the cube to you right after that's done. Okay, right after. And then and he says, so basically, like, you guys zoom over to, if you're looking at the world map again, you go from Sear down southeast to the original gate, the Central Earth Gate, or the Central Earthall Gate. The whole ship does. It's the only gate you've seen that is big enough for the ship to go through, right? Sundu, the gate that your people did, it's not nearly as big to fit a ship in. Okay? So you guys go into that gate, and the whole Colosseum-size trilithon megalith gate, the whole shimmering thing happens. The boat's floating there in the middle. You see the ground and the environments around you. You see, like, weather change, sun goes up and down, and then zoop, and you see the MITHRILHAWKS school off in the distance. And he says, "This is where you guys disembark. You know, we've got to get going. You keep going." And he says to you, Lachlan, since you've got the medallion, you know, that's in the intro of the show. He says, spin it to, you know, and he gives you a date, you know, like 800 AD or whatever. No, it would be like 1250 AD. He says there's an attack on Guangzhou scheduled for this time in this part of the year, and he says that city-state that you flew over is actually trying to take over Guangzhou, and that you guys are going to arrive there right at the either beginning of or during the battle. They don't have the exact date, or the exact time, but they know that the date happened on this day. They just don't know what time. Right?
Okay.
So they say that you guys got to go to this gate 2 days before, or whatever, and then head down to Guangzhou and make sure that the Two-Eye Stone doesn't get in the hands of Emperor.
And so technically, we are no longer on the ship, right? We are now traveling back across the land from this gate back to Guangzhou.
That's right.
Okay.
And he says that the Shinto from, let's see, what was the Jundai? Jundai is the name of this city on the very western edge of the Eastern Realms, right between the two deserts and the mountain ranges, and at the head of a huge river. And if you remember when you flew over, it was like the largest of the cities that you had seen in the Eastern Realms, and that's because it does business with this desert realms and some cities and places around here. Okay, so the Xavier or Tristan says, yeah. So evidently Jundai, tries to attack Guangzhou. Nobody knows why, but we suspect it's because they were trying to get the Two-Eye Stone. But for whatever reason in our history books, Jundai didn't succeed, and we think it's because of you all, because there's some reports of one of their elders returning to save their city. So we think you guys are involved somehow. So you guys got to go check that out and make sure that they don't get the Two-Eye Stone. You got it?
Sounds like fun.
Okay. And they say that the name of the Jundai Shinto is Shinto Genfei.
Shinto Genfei.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the history we have on Genfei is that he died in this battle, and that he lived for like 300 years prior to this battle, and we don't know why. He was an ordinary human, like you, Loyal. Well, not so ordinary, but you know what I'm saying. And you don't live for that long, so we think that there's something suspicious about that. And you probably figure it out while you're over there. But make sure that the Two-Eye Stone stays in Shintoji's family line. All right. You guys can do that, right?
And so and just to clarify for me, if we are jumping forward 300 years from where we were, and it was Shinto-ji, and then the Shinto-fei is supposedly has lived for 300 years, then there's some kind of overlap between like the history that we lived versus the history that we're walking into. There's some kind of disconnect there. Is that correct?
So it would that matches up pretty well. Something happened, and this young Shinto Genfei managed to stay in power, consolidate his kingdom, grow it. He was considered a legend among his people. Their town and their province grew tremendously under his rule. He ruled with an iron fist, but Guangzhou grew economically, and because they have they're the gatekeepers to the east, they saw all this business coming through Guangzhou and learned that Guangzhou grew in like economic power, and so the emperor of the kingdoms must have given him a go or permission, right? And so when you get there, you'll find out what happened and why. But
okay,
nice.
Yeah, and if you guys remember on your last journey from the gate down to Guangzhou, you passed Sundu's people's place where Dazhu was. You guys can stop there again. It takes 3 days, actually 2 days, but you made that stop at the Golden Lotus. Remember?
Well, I was about to say, so we came through here, but because even though we can use these gates not only to travel through time, but to travel from gate to gate. So essentially, is what we're doing is we're jumping from this gate over to this gate here, and then traveling down to Guangzhou over here.
Correct.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. And then in Sundu's tiger form, it takes you about 2.5 days.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I was about to say, mount up, we're riding.
Yeah. So Tristan and the ship and Sundu, Elriel says, he says, it's been an honor spending time with you, Master. He's like, I've learned a great deal about time and our mission here as the MITHRILHAWKS, and It's an honor to meet one of the ancestors from the previous age. He says, we've seen such a degradation in all of the other elves of the realm that we thought we were the only ones, and it's good to see somebody of our caliber.
Well, we appreciate all that your team has done to protect the mission and the sanctity of the Two-Eye Stone. I'm glad that there are many more people than we first realized who are team members who can help maintain the stability of this existence.
Yeah, he says that it seems to be our mission. He says the Mithril Sky Elves have been doing this since before Tahor Mithrael began his missions in the Third Age, and it's been an honor to be a part of this and to see what's going on. And with that, he bows, and the ship flies out to the MITHRILHAWKS school, and then you guys dial in the medallion, and then again the electric field happens, and then you see yourself zoom to this other gate, like you're just flying, like you guys are standing, right? By the way, you all have still your Xavier's Wave Rider, right? Yep. They said,
oh yeah,
yeah. Tristan mentioned it. He's like, you all are going to need that. You held on to it. We know we're going to be seeing you again in the near future, and we'll take care of all that later. But you guys it'll be useful for what you're going through. And then so you zoom across.
Been taking notes on how he wants to modify it.
Nice. So you guys zoom across the landscape. You're standing again. You've gotten used to this by now. You don't get dizzy or equilibrium stays. You get to the next gate, and then you see again like hundreds of years transpire in like a few seconds, right? See the rains, the sun comes up and down, storms. You see the landscape change a little bit, like liquid, and then it pops open, and so then you make your way to Guanzhou, and by the end of the day, you make it to Dazoo's lair. All right. But I'm going to show you what happened over the course of the couple hundred years.
And this is the area I missed, that one episode, right? So I've been here before, but me personally, I haven't seen this before, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You will see that the landscape has changed in the past couple hundred years.
Oh, okay.
So it was already like a flooded temple, which is what you're seeing now.
Yep.
Kind of a ruin.
And what you've got up there in the top left, is that what was before then? Oh, okay. I see.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so what's happened...
That was before, and then this is where we're at now?
Correct.
Oh, so there's almost been like a temple built and then a semi fallen apart since the last time we've been here.
Correct. It's been a number of hundreds of years, right? And so... So yeah, it used to look like a temple, like you just saw, and now a couple hundred years in the future, and it is like sand and dirt have fallen into that temple area, and there's still a lake in the center, but there's this water still in the middle, right? And so Sundu, you're like, whoa, this is things have changed.
Yeah. So. I guess I'm going to step forward to the edge of the water, and I'm going to sort of kneel, and I'm going to, place my hand down in the water, and sort of like put out like a reverberating splash through it, sort of like the equivalent of a door knock,
Yeah.
And you say, Zuzu, again, we call upon your wisdom, and just wait.
Great. And I just want to give
you Dragon Ball Z shit right here. Okay.
Guys, can we take a 1 minute break?
Yeah.
1 minute break. I'll be right back.
Cool.
Okay, cool. In that time, I'm going to just give a shout out to Seppuku, a fellow who does all of these really amazing battle maps. We use 2 Minute Tabletop and Seppuku's maps pretty religiously here, and both of them are really incredible. And we'll put a link in the show notes for you to be able to go support these really amazing guys and gals, and I think it's a gal. I don't know. So
I like that spelling of seppuku, where it's like an Asian word, but it's almost spelled like Czechoslovakian with the CZ there. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I've noticed seppuku's style very much like like he does really good, amazing Asian realm stuff. Most of his stuff is that, and he's got some really great fantasy settings, like Fae. Like when you guys go back to the Third Age, we're gonna be using some of his maps. When you guys go underwater and stuff, we'll be using some of his underwater maps as well. Like I found him and started looking at a lot of his other stuff, and I was just blown away. I was like, oh, this is actually gonna help inform some of the adventure, you know.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but seppuku, or seppuku, or however you pronounce it, excuse my ignorance.
Seppuku.
Is that not the Samurayan tradition of suicide for dishonoring oneself?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Cool. That's pretty neat. I like that.
So, Sundu, you splash the water as a knock, and if you guys want to place yourselves, you can. But you see a dark, slithering form in the depths, and it comes up, and it splashes, and its head comes out, and it's like right there, like scanning the whole area, and it does like a 360. It sees the three of you, and when that happens, you guys each feel an intrusion, right? Because now you all have those helms and those heads-up display shields, and you are like, you can sense that he's sensing you, right? And then you can sense the familiarity and the recognition. He looks a little bit older, but not too much. Just a little bit bigger, right? His head is like, instead of being the size, that it was, that wide, now it's just like a little bit bigger, and his maw is like a little bit bigger. And he says, "Ah, the MITHRILHAWKS, you are back. It has been many, many generations."
Suzu, 1,000 pardons for disturbing your rest. My comrades and I are here on the same mission as before, but a new battle is before us. We seek to explore an upcoming battle and the possible death of Shinto Zhang Fei. What know you of this lord?
He says, "I do not know them individually, but I do sense. I can see their dreams and their earnest strivings. There is a great battle brewing, and one is jealous of the other, and they seek to topple them. But there is something hidden, something darker."
And he says,
"It is in my interests to see that they do not succeed."
Then who doesn't succeed? Whose side are you on?
He says,
Guan Shu must continue protecting the heart of Earthal.
Does the stone appear safe in its current placement?
He says,
or is this a mistake?
He says,
There are more forces from Jundai than Guan Shu is prepared to repel.
And he says,
If you are going to stop them, it is in my interest that you stop them, and I would like to help. He says there are monsters in Jundai, and their darkness has eyes upon the heart of Earthal.
Monsters? Are you speaking of the Oni? Have they returned?
He says there are Oni among them, but only a few.
You're speaking of the Cthulhu.
He says, yes, the invaders.
Okay, cool. I was almost going to say I'd like to roll maybe perception to make sure that this cat hasn't been manipulated in some way over the past 300 years.
okay.
So would that be perception? Is that what that is?
I would think insight, maybe.
Insight? Okay. Ooh, that's a rough one for me. Yes, it is. I don't know anything about anything right now. So.
You're like, this thing is as scary as it was the first time. Yeah. Oh,
I could eyeball him up too.
Yeah. In the first time, he was like this close up to you, Loyal. And he was searching your spirit and your soul, and he sensed that you were like a good being, and had respect for you. But you were like, guys, do I attack it or not? And they're all like, no, don't attack it.
Okay.
But so you're like, yeah, I don't understand it still.
Gotcha.
But then Sundu just tried to, and you rolled a 27.
Yeah, no, you.
Yeah, I just rolled insight.
Yeah, you get a sense that you get a sense from what he said that your ability to mind read is like minuscule compared to his, right? And that he can sense like hundreds of miles across all of the beings and sentient beings and all of their general like well-being or not, or plans, or not necessarily to the greatest detail, because I mean what he does is he just sits underwater and he dreams and contemplates all of the things going on around him, right? So he senses the battle, and he senses the darkness that is pushing Jundai and Shinto Genfei, right? And he says yes to the fact that it's the Cthuls, he calls them the invaders, and he calls the Two-Eye Stone the heart of Earthal. Okay? And he says and he says that it's in his interest to make sure that Genfei and the Jundai Protectorate does not gain control of Guanshou and the Two-Eye Stone.
May we call upon your aid during this battle? How might we summon you?
He says, I'll do you one better. No, he starts rising out of the lake, which is a small, just pit now. And he rises out like really big and then encircles you guys, right? And kind of goes all the way around you like this. And he's big, right? And so that's his head. And he says, we should go now.
All right, let's roll.
Okay.
And he looks at you, Loyal, and he's like, well?
Without a doubt. That's what I was kind of like, I'm like hesitantly, like, it's like this, is he really going to let me do it?
Well,
and so I'm like, well, okay. And then I pull out the belt and I flip it around him and I mount him.
There you go. And so kind of like what I'm picturing, and you guys can obviously do as you like, but I'm picturing Loyal like riding the snake, the Naga, and Sundu in his beast form, and Lachlan on his like wave rider, and you guys all riding into battle. That's what I pictured, but you guys can...
Yeah, no, that's perfect for me. Yeah, absolutely. Like,
I want to ask
yes.
Tizu something as we're traveling. It's Tizu, right?
Dizu, yeah.
Is that correct?
Dizu,
okay.
Yeah.
I have a question for him.
Yeah.
Tizu, when you're dreaming, do you dream of the present only, or do you see all things?
He says, I can see the future sometimes. Sometimes it is shown to me. Sometimes the history. So long as the song that I am hearing is one that I focus upon. But to answer your question directly, he can't just go like, I'm going to look what happens in the future. It has to be like something that's pertaining to the energy of the moment. And that sometimes the future will make itself known to him.
So basically, Lachlan's thought process here is that, like, in Loyal's time period, as far as we know, there are no longer wizards running around. There's no longer dragons running around. There's no longer creatures like that running around.
Correct.
So where did they go? What happened? When did that event take place? And what does Tizu know about it? Does Tizu know that he is a dying race? Or that he is a race that is slowly sinking into obscurity?
Yes. In fact, his people are actually descended from the First Age. So if Sundu feels like he is in an age where things are smaller and less potent, and that the elves, so this guy, Dizu, was in the First Age whenever his people were like at their most highest. They must have been ginormous. They must have been like dinosaurs, like really remarkable. So yes, he says all species that you see are in a slow dying.
Okay, and that actually brings I asked of him a question following up to that is that is it the Chulu who are slowly infiltrating and draining energy from the planet that is causing this?
He says, the battle with the Cthulhus throughout the ages has indeed brought about the entropy throughout time, but this is the way of things. This has always been the way of things.
Cthulhu, not Chulus.
Cholo! No, it's Cthulhus, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Okay. And so this is where we get dropped off is what we're seeing now.
Well, so you guys are all like Thundercats ho, right? And you guys come to the border, and if you notice that this map, you guys the first time you came across, it wasn't nearly this wide. You know what I mean? Your tokens were bigger, and so over the course of the many hundreds of years, the river below has widened it. The bridge is longer, and you guys, what I'm gonna say is basically like you're coming to it, right? To the cliff, and you see guards on the other side, but they are not. Do a perception check for me, actually, each one of you.
Cool.
And I don't have another icon for Dazoo, so we're just going to use the sandworm from the...
Nice, that's what I'm talking about.
24 for me.
23 with an at.
Okay, so you guys...
20.
You guys recognize that these are definitely not the guards of the Guanshu Protectorate. They look different, considerably different. They wear different uniforms and everything. That they are not the Guanshu guards. Okay, and if you see across, you see two.
So are they Guanshu just like 300 years later, or these are the Jinpai guarding the rear? This is like the rear guard of the Jinpai army.
Yep, they're the Jundai army, the Jundai Protectorate, and
Jundai. Yeah.
Yep, and what you remember from what Tristan said is basically he said, instead of going through the kingdom and alerting everybody else to their devices, they went around the north through the desert, came down through this same entrance that you guys used, and this is their rear guard. Well, he doesn't say this is their rear guard, but this is their rear guard.
Right.
So you see six.
These are our enemies, correct?
They are the Jundai soldiers.
They are.
Yeah, and they've got 2 ballistae, and there's 6 archers and 2 commanders. All right, and
and I'm actually going to. I know I'm kind of like off of the Naga right now, but I'd actually like to. If I see these ballistas, I'd like to stay on him, and I'm like, we need to take out the heavy weaponry first. Like from my military training from my age, I know that is the most devastating part of this contingent. So I'm going to stay with you. We need to ride in hard and fast.
Okay, so I have not yet figured out how to do the initiative on Roll20, so we're just going to continue doing it old school style. It hasn't been too disruptive. So,
okay.
How far is that? You just did
60 feet.
60 feet. It's a little bit longer at this point.
60, 75, 90 from the front of the Naga. Yeah, about 90 feet or so. Yeah, 75.
Okay, so...
Which is that's a good distance. That's a couple of rounds to get across that bridge under fire, so...
Yeah. Yep. But,
initiative.
Oh, and by the way, you have the telepathy helmet. So does Lachlan, so does Sundu. They have the heads-up shield displays. But your helmet gives you telepathy. And Dazoo, at this time, has been speaking telepathically to you guys. Like, when you guys showed up, right? And even the first time, if you remember, I think it was in-game where he was speaking into your head. Just to give you an idea of how intense his mind and spirit is. And so, what's happened now is that you guys are... I'm going to give you a moment to figure out what your strategy is. Before you get discovered, like you guys are going there, you see that they are just being alerted to who you guys are or whatever. You're not going to get the drop on them, right? Because their job was to pay attention to anything coming through. But now, if you will, you can plot your strategy real quick.
And I just kind of like mentally say to Lachlan and Sundu, like I'm gonna stay with the Naga and take out this heavy weaponry. And if you guys could provide a distraction while we cross this river from a different path, because I'm sure this Naga can very easily go down and up instead of across the bridge.
I'm thinking personally that I was gonna.
Is it a flying creature? Does the Naga fly or slither, or what is it?
No, it slithers like a snake. It does not fly.
Okay.
So right now I'm the flying one right now, correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But Sundu can also teleport across, right, as the tiger as the tiger form. And Sundu, we're gonna, even though you've been journeying, in the tiger form, we said we're gonna use that as a mechanism for fast travel, essentially.
Right.
So you'll start at the top of the round. You won't have to do a check for the first round, but every round thereafter. Okay.
All right.
And I rolled a 22 that was in that 20.
So what I'm doing, if we have time to prepare like this, is I'm turning invisible and flying. I'm pointing and basically flying myself down here
How are you turning invisible?
with a spell of invisibility.
Okay. Okay. And where do you want to fly? You want to show me on the map?
Yeah, I'm gonna appear like down here,
Okay. Gotcha.
Right smack.
like behind them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. And Sundu, what did you want to do?
I was thinking what I could do is I could start with casting Entangle on this artillery over here.
Yeah.
And if it's a 20-foot square, I might even be able to get that one other archer in it as well.
Okay.
And then while I maintain that, my next move is going to be to get close enough to this archer, the second archer from the right, get close enough within 30 feet that I can use Thorn Whip on him and try to pull him off the cliff. So that'll be once I get about here on the bridge.
Okay. So you can either run across the bridge or teleport across the chasm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever your choice is. So if you will, everybody, please. So let's do initiative. Yeah.
22 for me.
I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rolls. No, I'll just do 5.
Ooh.
Oh, those are some rough initiative rolls.
Ooh, 23 for me.
Nice.
We all got 23.
Nice.
I love how I rolled a crit and y'all still rolled higher. I'm like, dang it.
That dexterity bonus.
Okay, so
See, in my other campaign I play, I'm the rogue, so like I'm always the first that goes. It's interesting to not be the first every time, for sure.
Well, interestingly enough, I think in pretty much every session we've had so far, I've been last in initiative. This is like the
Oh,
third
really?
time.
Right. right.
Like
Okay.
every time I roll like, 2 for initiative.
So Lachlan is 23. Sundu is 23. And damn, 22. Yeah, you guys are all going first. All right, we'll start off with Lachlan and Loyal. So what Dazoo understands what you want to do and take out that ballista, right? And so the way you guys are gonna go is just directly over, right? He says hold on tight and that he's gonna go across he's just gonna jump the chasm, right? And what he does is he rears up and you're riding like right on the back of his head, right? And so you guys are going very fast, and at the last, he kind of gets up like that, and then when you get to the very edge, he springs across, right? And you're like flying through the air, and you've got your halberd out. And what's really cool is that you can reach down because it's a very large creature. It's like riding on the back of a Volkswagen bus. Okay, so you can reach down with your halberd and swing down. Okay, so do you want to go and take an attack roll at that?
All right, so it's me for attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to cast or anything like that? Or okay, Well, it has a 10. It has a 10 AC.
Casting wise, no. I think I'll leave it alone for now until I'm kind of back on my own 2 feet. But I think an 11 probably wouldn't necessarily hit. I don't know, but I rolled an 11, so
no,
we'll see how that plays out.
What happens is you break one of the one of the edges, right? And then when he lands, he turns around and smacks it with his tail, and it goes off the edge. Okay, and the ballista along with the person manning it goes off the edge. All right. So
and it kind of is my move action then on that turn. Now that he's jumped us across the cavern, I'm going to dismount and be ready to engage these other individuals. So, like, if he ends up right here and kind of smacks it with his tail,
yeah,
I think I'd kind of like be dismounted like right here, so I can come in from the flank a little bit.
Okay, cool. And this, we're just going to remove that from the board, and yeah, that's good. All right, so next is Lachlan.
All right, I am casting Sleep right here. So the idea is that it's going to affect these 3 guys.
Yeah, so if you look up Sleep real quick, you can cast it up to a certain level.
Yeah, I roll a 5d8, and this is how many hit points of creatures this spell can affect.
Okay, great.
27.
27?
Yeah.
Okay, and do they make a saving throw?
I didn't see anything about a saving throw.
So essentially, if they have that many HP or less, they automatically fall asleep?
What it says is the total is how many hit points of creatures this spell can affect. Creatures within a 20 feet of a point you choose within range are affected in ascending order of their current hit points. Starting with the creature that has the lowest current hit points, each creature affected by this spell falls unconscious until the spell ends.
Okay, so this guy, the middle one, definitely falls asleep, but the other one, you can see like his eyes get kind of like he fights it off. I guess we'll use that icon. All right, so this one is asleep.
And how about the third one?
Nope, neither this guy on the right or the fellow on the left is affected. Okay, so you and are you still on the Wave Rider?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're floating right there.
Now, how does that affect your invisibility? Do you become visible now that you've casted a spell?
I think once I cast the spell, I'm visible again.
Yeah, he's no. But so all of these guys were facing towards the north, right, where Sundu still is, and then as soon as the Naga jumps this, and you guys take out that ballista, all their attention goes to the Naga, right, and Loyal, and then when Lachlan shows up. Now they're all like sort of turned backwards. So Sundu, you've got a clear path. Like hardly anybody's looking at you. Even the ballistic operator, is distracted. So that this explains all of their really poor initiative rolls. Let's say. So Sundu, it is your turn.
Yeah. All right. So you said that I'm starting in the displacer tiger form. Right?
Yeah, you're still in
the lion form or whatever.
That's right.
And so, as long as you'll allow me to, I think he does casting in that form, right?
Yeah.
So that's within range. I'm gonna cast
Entangle.
What is it? Entangle. Let me roll that up real quick.
They get to roll a dexterity check, but it's a thing, so it doesn't move. But the guy in it tries to get out, but he is unable to. So the thing is pointed forward; it can't aim at you, and it can't fire, essentially.
All right, and then I'm gonna still take my whatever movement that lion or that tiger beast form has. I think it's probably 30 or 40. It'll put me about here if it's 40.
I mean, again, you can teleport, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think honestly that'll be good because that'll force them to move towards me. I don't want to end my turn having spent my action and then I'm right next to them waiting for them to attack me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fine. Although they are archers, so you are within range. Just to let you know.
Oh yeah, you're right. There's a couple archers.
But honestly, like they recognize that you're there, but they've got a huge serpent. You're like on their side. Exactly. Priorities. They're not like. I would say one of them would be targeting you, if any.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just noticed that there's a huge tiger running across the bridge while he's looking at this dragon serpent thing, right? All right, so the next in line is Ballista 2. You just took that out of action. The archers on the left, they are going to fire at the serpent. They do not see Loyal jump off, or if they do... Oh, actually, there's only 2 of them because... Yeah, so we're taking the first 2 rolls, and they do not. Neither of them hit the serpent because they're all distracted by Lachlan, their buddy, going to sleep, and Loyal there.
So they're all spacey too now, too, right?
Yeah, a little bit. We can say that, but they're fully alert this next round.
Yeah.
Then after that is soldiers 1 and 2. So the guard right here next to you, Lachlan, he turns around and immediately attacks with his straight Asian sword. But now your AC is 16. Oh, he has a +1. So what did we determine last time? It goes to the defender or it goes to the attacker?
The
attacker.
Okay.
No. Okay.
So you take 6 points of damage, my man, Lachlan.
All right.
And then Soldier 2 still has he sees the tiger running, and his duty is to make sure that. So he moves to about there. I think that's about 30. And he's readying an action for you, Sundu, when you get there. All right, because he recognizes, like, he and the other guy are sort of like the captains, and they recognize what their duty here is to protect the flank, and to see you guys come in, they're pretty much. Bazinga. They need to do something. So what I'm going to do now is these 3 other archers, it's their shot, and one of them is going to take a shot at Sundu, and the other 2 are going to take a shot at Dazu, and nobody except for he hits Sundu. So let's do damage, and you take 4 points of damage, Sundu.
I'll take it.
And then Lachlan, it is your turn. Or I'm sorry, it's Loyal and Lachlan, whoever wants to go first. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, go ahead, Loyal.
All right. I will take 1 step forward to be within reach with my halberd. So I'm going to do that. Taking it 1 step to this guy on the side.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm actually going to. Is it Divine Favor? Maybe. Yeah, so I'm going to cast Divine Favor, so 1 bonus action, so this is a free action. Your prayers empowers you with Divine Radiance until the spell ends. Your weapon attack still an extra 1d4 radiant damage.
Nice.
And it's up to 1 minute.
Okay, cool.
As long as I concentrate, don't cast anything else. I'm going to cast deal an extra 1d8 damage. I am going to attack with my halberd of my mouse. There we go. Does a 19 to hit?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And while I'm at it, I am going to go ahead and Divine Smite as well, which gives me an extra 2d8 radiant damage. I'll save my other spell slots. I won't increase the damage on that, so that's an extra 2d8 to that. Backslash. 2d8 plus 1d4. So it's 12 plus 9 for a total of 21.
All right, so you run up and you swing your would you like to describe how it's done, or can I just say you?
No, go for it.
Yeah, so you swing and do this cool thing, running at him, and you swing the halberd, and you chunk like straight into his side, like you cut him nearly in half, right? And he just falls away right over here into the grass. This guy is still asleep, the second one, and this third one is still alive and aware. And he is now aware of Lachlan behind him and aware of this guy, the serpent, and also you running at him. So he's a bit ready to poop his pants. All right, Lachlan, it's yours. Good shot, Loyal.
I am casting grease on these two.
Grease.
Grease.
All right.
So they have to make a dexterity saving throw or fall prone.
All right. Would you?
And then I'm also thinking, I don't know what you think, but the distance here is pretty short. So this guy might actually slip right off the edge.
Yeah. When you cast it, is there? So when Sundew casts a spell or whatever, it shows up here in the chat. Can you make that happen with Grease?
No, because my character sheet is not connected.
Gotcha. Okay. So neither of them. No, it's all right. I think we've got it. The one guy rolled a 1, so yeah, he slips and slides and falls down, boom, to this cliff down here. He takes 4 points of damage, and this guy falls prone, so you have an advantage on attack.
So that means I get another round right now? Is that what that means with an advantage?
No, that means just the next time you roll twice and take the highest.
Yeah, if you're attacking him. All right, very cool. I like this strategy, guys. All right, next in line
so
is.
I forgot at the end of my turn here. I was supposed to, since I took damage, right? I'm supposed to roll a Constitution save to see if it breaks concentration.
It
has to be 10 or higher.
No.
And that's a fail. So.
Okay, so whenever you take damage, is that roll? I thought it was at the beginning of each round. Or did we say it was at the end of each round?
So that's. No, this is for maintaining concentration on the Entangle spell.
Oh,
you're right. At the end of each round in my Tiger form, I have to do a Wisdom save for that. I forgot. There's all this maintenance I have to do.
Yeah.
So what I failed by taking the arrow damage, I lost concentration on the Entangle spell. That means this archer and this ballista are free. Unentangled and potentially dangerous again. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, they're free.
But you don't have to roll to maintain your Tiger form until the end of this round, because we said the first round was good. Okay?
All right, cool.
All right, so it is now your turn. Thank you for reminding me about the Entangle concentration. And Redfoot, just so you... it's under it's yours.
Okay.
Lachlan, just so you know, we're going to have maybe about a half an hour, and then we'll wrap up for you on a cliffhanger.
Works. Thanks, man.
All right, so Sundew, it is your
my
turn.
current plan, I'm going to run up in Tiger form and, kind of rear up on my 2 back legs, exposing all 4 front legs, and try to trash this guy with bite, claw.
Do it.
Nice.
So, let me find this. All right, I just got to roll d20s for it. Sorry, I'm a little rusty here.
Yeah, but I think it was +5 or +7. I can't remember.
I've got it written down here. It is under notes.
Well, whether it's +5 or +7, you've actually hit them all.
It's +7, yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely hit them 3 times. All right, so do damage, and I think the bite was 3d10 +5 or 7.
Yeah, that's good. It's 3d10 +5 and claws 3d6 +5. So we'll do 3d10. So that's 23 bite on this soldier. And
if you want to for fun, he's actually got like 2 more hit points. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm sure the next claw will take him out then.
Yeah.
So that's 16 for the next claw. And I guess the other swipe is just to flip someone the bird with. I don't know.
Yeah, so what you do with the other swipe is you throw him on the guy down here as a heaping mess. You throw him right at him, on him, and knock him down further, and they both go tumbling into the river.
Yeah.
All right.
But a fearsome roar and the electricity cackles off my glistening teeth.
Yes, exactly. Good. You can also move forward if you want some, or you can stay there.
Yeah, I think I'll move forward just a little bit. That's perfect.
Okay. All right. Next in line is the Ballista 2. He frees himself, and with some considerable, because it all just dissipates and turns into ash, right? And then he takes...
Yeah, it kind of withers away.
Yeah, so he takes an attack. You're still in your... roll for your Tiger form for me, please.
Oh, yes, thank you. Wah, wah, wah. So it's 9 plus the number of rounds. So that'll be... We're at 10 or higher, and I'm going,
Oh no!
back into elf form.
Okay, so here's what happens. You're kind of like, and then you pop back into elf form, and just as the ballista fires across you, and we'll say that it just barely misses you.
As he shrinks down, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I did it on purpose.
There you go. And so that's his.
To do that.
That's his. So Archer's L. So this archer right here, the one that's still alive. I'm not on the right button here. Select move. The archer that's right here. He saw you just take out his buddy, so he's gonna shoot.
Wait, he's still asleep, isn't he? Is that spell ended?
Oh no, he is asleep, and he stays asleep because the first die says 7, so he did not wake up from his Constitution check.
And this next guy right here can't do anything because he's prone right now.
Yeah, well, he's gonna try to get up, and he's actually next in line, so he's gonna. We'll say that second die, so he actually manages to get up, and stand.
No, that doesn't work. He should not be able to do anything this turn, because this is the turn that I made him fall prone. So it would be a pointless spell if he gets a second chance already to get up.
Well, no, I think the way prone works, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, but when you're prone, you simply use your move action to stand back up. Right. So essentially what it prevents you from doing is moving. You just have to spend that action to stand up, regardless of the round that it's in.
Yes.
Yeah, standing up costs movement equal to half your speed if you're prone.
Okay.
Great. So basically what I had him do is also roll a dexterity check, because it's not that he's just prone, he's prone on a greasy surface, right?
Yeah, okay.
So I had him roll a check, and he got a 20 on it, so he's standing up, but he can't attack. He's just like, that's what he did for the round.
Okay.
Got it? So you don't have an advantage on attack anymore. That's all. But he's recognizing that he's on a slippery surface, so he's taking all of his concentration to maintain his standing upness. Does that sound fair to everybody? I think that works. Okay, so then the last bit is we have these other archers. I didn't think that this one was entangled, so I'm just going to pretend that he was, and that's him unentangled. And now the three of them are going to take shots, one at Sundu and one at Lachlan and one at the worm. Oh wait, I forgot to do Dazoo's attack. So Dazoo, I'm sad that it looks like a big worm. He's really badass looking, but he basically tramples this archer, and the guy who just got prone, who got up from being prone, Dazoo comes by and grabs him sideways with his mouth and then flicks him off the edge. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so like he's essentially sitting on the guy that fell asleep. He's just like resting on him.
yeah, exactly. Well, I would say that he slid over them and just kind of ground him into the ground a little bit. He's not dead yet. And then he's coming over to take these guys out. But that was his attack, and these guys are going to just attack at him. One of them's still going to attack at Sundu. So these are the two that are attacking at Dazoo, and they both hit. So he takes about 12 points of damage. But that's nothing to Dazoo. And the other guy, the other archers, I'm going to say he was going to attack Sundu, but he's going for Dazoo as well because there's a huge dragon coming at him. And he misses. All right, now it's the top of the round. It is Loyal.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of step forward on this guy who's still asleep, now that he's grounded in the ground a little bit. And I'm just going to finish him off. Why not?
Okay.
Swing at this sleeping guy in the mud.
Well, he's now woken up, but he's prone, so you get advantage on the attack.
Okay.
Like that, yeah. I mean, and his hit points are down. Let me do a hit point roll for him. Okay.
So it's a 26.
26.
It's a hit. And
what was the first one? Oh, 26, and then we'll take the higher damage.
17, and then 26 was the second one. So I'll go with the. Essentially.
It's okay. He's dead.
That's my movement and attack there.
All right. Okay, cool. So that's that guy dead. Lachlan, it is your turn.
All right. So Tizu's like right next to me at this time.
Correct. He's headed
Okay.
towards these 3 archers over here.
Right. And this ballista is still firing, right?
It's still functional, correct.
But there's no one manning it?
No, there is. He just tried to shoot at Sundu, but missed because he turned out of tiger form.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna to get a little leverage, I'm going to try to run up Tizu's back and then fire my grappling hook at the ballista so I can kind of tuck myself that way.
Oh, cool. So I picture, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I picture you swinging down around this way below these 3 guys.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
All right.
So
So should
attack roll against AC 10, and then in acrobatics, I think is your strong one.
Yeah. All right. So my attack is a 14,
Yep, you hit.
and then 21 for my acrobatics.
So you land on top of the ballista, in such a way that you are able to jam it when he fires it this round, if you'd like. Okay.
Okay.
That I'm gonna go ahead and say that's your movement. Do you want to take an attack or anything?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I wasn't sure if you thought I could.
I mean, that sort of was an attack and a movement as one, and I kind of would like to see it just land there. But if there's something that you have,
Oh yeah, I can wait until my next turn as long as I'm stopping the shot. That works.
that's great. Okay, cool. So you are now on top of the ballista. Oops. You see, that's the problem. The zoo's so big that I try to grab you in it. All right. Okay, so that Sundu. It's your turn. Dazoo is like right in front of you.
Is this soldier down here still kicking it?
No, I think when you threw that chopped up guard, it hit him and knocked them both into the river. I just didn't have a chance to move him. Dazoo's so damn big.
All right. So
Let's remove
if
him
he's
from the
dead,
board.
then really, all we got left are these 3 archers
And the ballista.
and whoever's manning the ballista. Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm gonna try that strategy that I had mentioned before. This guy's just barely. Oh, I'll bet he could be in range though. If I move to the edge of the bridge, now I can grab this archer with
Thorn whip. Yeah.
and try to whip him right off the bridge.
Let's do it.
Where's my old thorn whip?
Yep, you actually hit him.
Nice.
All right, so you do 9 points of damage, and you're also trying to get him to tossed, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, he made his saving throw,
Oh shoot.
but you did do 9 points of damage. So,
Okay.
and you almost pull him off, and he's just at the edge there. Like he grabs it, and kind of like struggles, but he does drop his bow. So this round he's gonna try to disentangle himself, and do that. But in the meantime, the ballista tries to fire, and is unable to. Like, yeah, you landed in such a way on the back of the ballista that the engagement mechanism is not firing. And he goes like this, to pull the lever down, and he sees that nothing's happening, and he sees you up there. So he tries to attack barehanded.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, he tries to push. He tries to push you off the thing, and you just basically jump up and back on it. All right, and
I just yelled, "Don't mind me."
yeah. And so the 3 archers attack. The second roll is him trying to dislodge himself from the thorn whip. He does not. The third one does manage to attack at Dazoo and does 9 points of damage. All right, so now it's back to the top of the round. It is Loyal.
Let's see. So how far away am I?
Well, I'm
know,
gonna say you are within the distance of running up his back and off of his head and doing like a cool
Oh yeah. Then that's totally
Just
where
for
I'm at.
cinematic reasons. Yeah.
I'm coming here and I'm falling down on this guy. Halberd just over my head, chopping down on him. Why not?
All right, cool.
Cool.
And it looks cool, but totally fails.
Ooh, that's a critical failure. That is.
Oh,
that is
really?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a nat one.
No, it's a 1 plus 8. Do me a
Yeah.
favor and roll a dexterity check.
Okay.
A
This will be
dexterity
good.
saving
Yeah.
throw. Yeah.
Dex.
All right. Well, at least that's good. Okay. So what happens is you do fall off of him, but instead of you fall down here. Okay. Just a couple steps down, like that second ledge. You don't go into the river, but you fall off of his head right over to there. And if you're okay with it, you take a couple points of damage just for effect, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like 2 points of damage or something. All right, next is Lachlan. You're right on top of the ballista, locking its mechanism with your foot, and the guy tried to push you off and failed.
Yeah, I am casting Firebolt at the ropes of like the string of the ballista that
Yeah.
fires.
Okay, cool.
I want that nat 1 and then a nat 20 for me.
Yeah.
15.
Yep, you succeed. You actually, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it fails its saving throw, and right at the mechanism where you fire that firebolt, it hits the 2 ropes there and just snaps it.
Yeah, it doesn't actually. There's no saving throw. It's just 1d10 damage. But
Okay, well that's perfect.
for a rope, I think that works.
Yeah, I'm good with that. And what that does is when it snaps, it flicks the guy, and he like where you're standing, you're actually on top of the ballista.
Yeah.
He falls to right where you're standing in the game map. Okay.
Okay.
Like he just hits the floor there, so he's prone. Next in line is Sundu.
I guess I could.
Now, Sundu or Kurt, at this point, your thorn's still around him. Is it mechanically designed where you could make a strength saving throw and see if you can still yank him off the edge, or do you have to make another attack roll? Or
Not really. Thorn Whip is a cantrip, so it's like each use of it is the spell itself. So if I wanted
okay.
to, I could try it again. It'd be a pretty easy thing to do, is to just cast another. And I think that might be what I do here in this situation, really.
Okay, but I will say, just for cinematic reasons, it's still in existence. You just do an attack roll using Thorn Whip or whatever to yank him off.
Man, I really like the use of cantrip in this new session, where it's like you can kind of just use it as much as you want.
Yeah.
The mage never just suddenly becomes useless.
The big difference for casters, for sure.
Yep. How many do you have? Like a set of cantrips?
Yeah,
Like,
but you can cast them as many times as you want, from what I can see.
Yeah, I've got 3 cantrips.
well,
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cantrips.
good lord.
Yeah.
Jesus.
yeah. You got your 3rd level wizard, 3rd level rogue, arcane trickster, plus the 3rd level wizard, right?
Yeah.
So you actually do have a limited amount slots, right? But you can do.
With cantrip, there is no slots.
Right, cantrips are unlimited.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
dope.
don't burn spell slots.
But cantrips, I could just keep casting all day long.
That's
Okay.
why they're like the weakest of all the levels. It's like a 0 level spell, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and by the way, what we determined with your finding out that magical glyph and your ability to kind of be like Gambit now. So like you say you have 7 cantrips, right? And then you have how many 1st level, how many 2nd level?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 first level, and 1, 3 second level, or 4
That's-
second.
That's known, not slots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there should be, because that would be crazy to have that many spells. Like, because me at 3rd level paladin and 3rd level, I've got literally 3 1st level spell slots and 0 2nd level spell slots.
Okay,
Right.
I've got my spell slots, I've got 4 first level spell slots and 3 second level.
Oh, okay.
So
I was about to say 11. That would be absurd.
Yeah.
Like, just how many spells do I have in general?
I got you.
Right. So the spell slots is how many times you can do the Gambit, electric chart, like Lachlan's electric chart. What did you call it? Lachlan's strike?
Lachlan's explosive charge.
Lachlan's
Nice.
explosive charge. So you can do that 7 times a day.
Oh, that doesn't count as one of my spell slots. It's different.
No. It is. It's kind of like you said you had 7 spell slots, right? So you can use it with those 7 spell slots. So you can either do all 7 at once and blow up a big thing, or do like, I think it was like 78 points of damage plus 3, right?
Nice.
Or you can do it 7 times at 1d8 plus 3.
Okay.
You know, so you can pick up a stone, charge it, and throw it, that kind of thing.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Or you could touch the ballista and it would explode on its own, right? If you use like
I was wondering if I could do that. I wasn't sure.
but
cool.
it by size, right? So if you want to do something like the size of a ballista, you'd need to use like 3 or more slots or something, right?
So literally, I could like put my hand on someone and make their armor explode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally. Which, you know, just be creative, because you guys are about to go into a big battle, right? Like we're gonna end on a cliffhanger where you guys arrive at Guancho. But let me get into that after we finish up, wrap up with these guys. So you take Sundu, that second guy, and throw him off the cliff into the water.
Speaking of cliffhangers.
Yeah, there you go. So he's off the cliff.
That's a straight Arnold line right there.
Yeah. And these guys have nothing to do but, you know, fire back. And really, Dazoo is the biggest and baddest thing, and they miss. And what Dazoo does is he takes this guy in his maw and throws him off the cliff with his buddy that just took off, thanks to Sundu, and then comes over here and breathes fire on this guy. And this guy, we're gonna put him down to 1 hit point, in case you guys want to interrogate or do something. Lachlan, you're standing over the ballista guy. It's your turn.
Yeah.
Or actually, it's Loyal's turn, but I imagine Loyal, you're going to be climbing up that cliff.
Well, and that's what I was asking, and since you provided that opportunity to interrogate, that's kind of what I was going to do is just simply move to this guy, and like he's obviously burned on the ground, dying, and just kind of kneel next to him, and like how many how much forces have made it to Guancho? Like what are we up against is what I'm going to ask of him in his dying moments.
Okay, are you going to do that persuadingly or intimidatingly?
Definitely intimidation.
Okay.
Like,
give me a roll.
Okay.
Give me a with advantage, since you've got like a gigantic dragon serpent, you know, looming over you. All right. Okay.
24.
So he says, the Shinto Genfei will not take no for an answer. He will see this to the very end. He is, and he's like gasping for breath, and he says, all he can speak of for the past years has been Guancho. He brought everything. Lachlan, your turn. You've got the ballista guy in front of you.
The guy's on the ground, right?
Yeah, he's prone.
Alright, so I'm gonna like pull out my knife and just kind of put it to his throat and kneel down. And I say, do you have any extra information you'd like to provide us at this point in time?
Intimidation or persuasion?
I think that's intimidation.
That sounds a little bit intimidating with the knife, even though you're being
intimidation.
sweet about it.
Either way, that's the same roll for me.
Okay. He's like, he says he's brought all of the ballista. He's brought the 4 battalions and his special forces, which we don't know much about. They're ninjas.
Ninjas? What's a ninja?
You know what a ninja is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does Lachlan know what a ninja is? That's what I was trying to say. Like,
Gotcha. No, you wouldn't, I guess.
Yeah. So what's a ninja?
He says they are the shadows. There's a troop of 10 of them, plus two monsters.
And what are their
two
strategies?
demons.
Where would they attack?
He says I don't know. I'm just a ballista operator. He says, but in the past, the armies would be fighting outside, and there would be a distraction to the ninjas as they would go in and take the head off the snake. And he looks at the big snake.
They're not taking the head off that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gentlemen, I look up at everybody. Does anyone else have any questions for my friend here?
Sundu, you? Where do you want to be?
I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're all good? All right, once everyone says that, I get him to his feet. I pat him on the shoulder. I say thank you. And then I push him off the edge, and I cast Featherfall.
On him?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I let him get to like just to the point where he thinks, oh god, I'm gonna die, and then I cast Featherfall on him.
Okay. So he feather falls his way into the fast-moving stream, and then the burnt crisp chicken nugget on the floor is like, please help me.
And like I actually just cinematically, I don't know if I even have a dagger, but I'm gonna say as a soldier, I always have a boot knife or something. So I actually just kind of slide it into his neck and put him out of his misery.
Well played. Well played. Okay. Good. So Dizu says, "It is beginning." He turns his head towards the south, and you guys. Back in formation, you guys go as fast as you can now at this point. Sundu, you're back in tiger form by the time you get there. And when you get to Guangzhou, the city of Guangzhou, I don't have a bunch...
Quick question.
Yo.
Before you get there, are we going to be at full rest?
Yeah, because you are still a day away.
Oh, okay. Then I also want to search any guards that are left and see if they have anything fun on them.
I mean, just like a couple coppers, some silver. Just
okay.
Nobody's got anything magical. So Guangzhou has grown, and I don't have a better map for you now, but you can basically say that.
Okay.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, so all of these buildings, there's basically like no grass left in a spot like this. It's all buildings. All of this area here, any area that you see open is no longer open, and there's a wall. There is a wall here around the castle, right? And there are buildings everywhere here. It's very little agricultural land now. It's like a thriving metropolis, okay? This is still the way it is. But these forests have been cut back, and now there are buildings here as well. There's still farmland down here and out here. They've cut all of these trees down and turned it into farmland. But it's basically like a thriving city, okay? But it is all in ashes and smoke. This whole area is just full of smoke and burning buildings, and you can see that the city has been pretty much ransacked, okay? There are soldiers and troops just running amok throughout these buildings, but the main forces, let me change the color so you can see, there is like a battalion here, at this wall, a battalion here at this wall. And I'll have better maps for you next round, but this is sort of like the cliffhanger. And we said that there were 4 battalions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this battalion here has broken through the wall here. All right, so there's...
Okay, and so battalion's what, 100 soldiers, a couple hundred?
Yeah, we'll say a couple hundred. We'll have the specifics next round, but there's pretty much like 1,000 soldiers here, okay?
Gotcha.
And they've just broken through here. And you guys are coming from the north this way. You're technically coming from the road here, but Dizu veers off of it and goes through... I don't know if this shows... Nope. Dizu basically comes from this way through the forest, if you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you'll have these troops to your right, but he easily clears the wall. Okay, and then what happens is you see archers This is the front gate of the castle. Okay, where you guys came in the last time from this road, right? And there are archers everywhere, and there are troops stationed outside, and they're all running. Man, I've really messed this up with a lot of stuff. Let me put another color here so you guys can see where the good guys' troops are moving this way to go deal with the breach. And there are troops all throughout this field here, and you guys land right in here. Like, you go over the wall and get there, and you're in the, and all of these soldiers turn to like fight with you. Do you want to say anything to the soldiers?
Well, actually, Lachlan kind of had a plan as we were coming in here.
Sure.
And I'm going to telepathically communicate it to everybody. And I say, if I were a secret soldier of the Shadowy Knight, I would probably have found my way into the castle already and be attacking from the inside. I think one of us better head there.
If not all of us. And when you say that, I kind of reach out to what's the Naga's name again? I'm sorry.
Zuzu.
Zuzu. Yeah. So I'm Zuzu. Can you handle these soldiers while we protect the 2-eye stone and head to that confrontation?
He says, I am very hungry.
And when you guys get out into all these soldiers like turn to want to fight you, and you hear Dazu in like a loud booming voice. He is like,
We are here to protect Shinto-ji-ka.
So Shinto-ji-ka is one of his descendants. And then the guards all look at each other, and you see you see on the archers up here yell something in, and then they look at the dragon and are like, or the Naga, and are like, yes, yes. And you see them all on the castle walls all cheering. And because they also see Sundu as well. And you get the sense that they've just reported that one of the ancestors and a dragon is here to aid the castle, or to aid the Shinto. And so they all start.
I was actually going to ask, like, from our first time here, are we almost like figures in history of like heroes in history, I guess, in a sense? Like,
yes.
Has our war been passed down in this city?
Yes
they
and
might
no.
Not recognize us, though.
Yeah, exactly. These guards wouldn't know, but they recognize a Sundu when they see them.
Okay.
And so they saw a Sundu, a third age Fey elf, and a dragon, and the dragon just spoke in a loud booming voice that they are here to defend Shinto-ji-ka and the heart of Earthall. And so everybody, huge cheers went up. And yeah, and so we'll say just as that happens, for the cliffhanger is when they breach this wall over here, and soldiers start pouring in.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool.